we are talking about buying a house and owning a house and then what costs come with it. Because one thing that I think a lot of people never talk about is how much does it cost to own a house? Everybody's always talking about like, you have to own a house. Everything is grand and wonderful and you're going to build instant. It's not like that. And it drives me crazy because owning a house comes with responsibilities, comes with expenses, and not the normal expenses of like, oh, I have to have this cable bill and this and the taxes at the end of the year, which is another cost that can go up. So let's talk about real costs, and I'm going to use myself as a scenario. Hi, my name's Kerin, and I do lots of education for you, but I give you the real deal education. I don't sugarcoat anything because this is what you really need. To be honest with you, I should have millions of views because I'm the only person talking about the real deal out there, right? With over 950 homes sold, I own a bunch of properties. I know the pros and cons to everything in this business, and I'm learning every day as well. So let's talk about cost. So I own a property, and right now, I had to put on a new roof, okay? And that was about $15,000, right? And then all of a sudden, the fence got knocked down, the whole fence. And I had to redo the fence, right? And then my deck, because I had this tree outside and the roots, started screwing up the deck. Now, these are expenses that no one ever talks about, right? Oh, well, I didn't know you had to do that. No, I don't have to do that, but I have to do that, right? Here's a huge expense. Underneath the house, going from the house to the sewer, the pipes they used a long time ago was almost like paper that they wrapped. And the paper started, instead of being a circle, started squishing down. And I have to replace all of that. And if I don't replace it, I have to constantly go in there and keep redoing and redoing and redoing, like spraying it out, not power washing, but like pressure washing it out or whatever it's called, right? And every time I do that, it's like $500-$600. But to redo the piping the way it should be done is like $8,000, right? So the problem people have is they buy a home and they don't have like this emergency fund set aside, right? Now they say, well, hold on. We did a home inspection and everything was perfect. Or we had the sellers do everything and they fixed everything before we bought the house. Okay, that's great. But that doesn't mean things can't happen right afterwards. I've seen a home inspection go absolutely perfectly smooth. And then literally days later, the ceiling caved in from water coming from the AC. It was the craziest thing that was missed. So the point being is when people like buying is way better than renting, there's pros and cons to everything. But remember, when you're renting, you're not responsible for all this stuff. And you might say, oh, my landlord never gets stuff fixed. Because it probably, well, I'm not sticking for any landlords, but it probably cost them so much money, but you don't have to do it. And what I mean by things is like, okay, let's do the math together. Let's say right now that in a decent market, the equity that I have is about $200,000. And I could sell my house roughly for $300,000, right? So you're like, oh, that's $100,000 profit. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because I have closing costs, right? I have potential capital gains. It's an investment property unless I'm doing a 1031 exchange. And then there's other variables that come into play. But, okay, if I have to put on a new roof or if I have to fix all this stuff, and that's another $20,000, $30,000, that cuts into my profits big time, right? And now let's say I didn't have any equity in the house. Let's say I bought it for $200 and it's worth $210 or $215. I'm putting $20,000, $30,000 into that house. I'm already underwater. But this is stuff that people don't talk about. And you have to realize that real estate is all about timing, right? When you buy the house, when you're selling the house, as you live in the house, if there's ever an emergency that comes and you have to sell, is it a good market to sell? Can you pull money out of the house? This is why I do these videos. I want you to understand that, yes, real estate can make you successful and make you money. 1,000%. You could buy a house as your primary and then turn around and keep it as a rental and buy another property and do the same thing. But with that comes responsibility of expenses. And this is important to understand. This is why it is smart to make sure that you understand what things cost, number one. To understand that there is a lot of times that you might have something up to code when you bought it, and then years down the road, it's not up to code. So unless you're keeping it, you might have to. Electric panels, right? GFIs, there's so much different things. And let's not talk about going through insurance if something happens, because that can nip you in the butt. So all I'm saying is, yes, owning real estate is great, and there's absolutely amazing pros to it. but it's very expensive if you hold on to a property for 10 years plus or living in a property for 10 years plus. That can come from owning a house. And just be aware of all the expenses that can come. And that is why when buying a house, you want to make sure you get the best deal possible up front to prepare yourself for the long run. And you're going to say, Kerin, what about my dream house? Or what about a new construction? I bought a brand new house. Brand new house. Okay? Just because it's brand new doesn't mean there's going to be stuff that comes down the road. Yes, you have warranties. Absolutely. Right? But still, it's longevity of living if you keep it as an investment property. Now, if you buy a brand new construction, you sell it in a couple years, you might be ahead of the curve. But remember, we'll talk about that separate, about the market and if it's still being built. I don't want to confuse you on that one. Keep following me for all your real estate education. I hope you love my videos. I do. You see me sweating right now? I forgot to turn on my AC. It's working though, but I am sweating right now. I've been working on videos nonstop, doing these videos for you guys. So hope you love everything. I will talk to you guys soon. Any questions, anything you want to know, let me know. Bye.